So good evening. You don't need to adjust your colour contrast. I am, in fact, as sun-kissed, not sunburnt, but sun-kissed as the screen suggests. And I'm squinting into the sun. In a moment, I might resort to the YouTuber's cardinal sin and put some sunglasses on before talking to you in the camera. However, good evening. It is approaching 7 o'clock. It's just after 7 o'clock after a fantastic 3 days of racing here at Nottingham. If you look behind, not Nottingham, it's Dorney. If you look behind me, presentations have just taken place of the Championship 8 events after an absolutely brilliant final few hours of racing this afternoon. So welcome to the Rowing Notebook. This is, if you've not joined us before, an informal, unscripted, single take walkthrough of the day's racing. I don't want to call it a reaction video because that's just sensationalist rubbish that you get on YouTube all the time. But if you want to call it a reaction, it's a reaction. But it's more a review. And if you've ever watched Formula One, you might have seen Ted Kravitz, and he does something similar. He walks around the paddock at the end of the day's racing, providing fans of the Formula One sport the opportunity to reflect on what's happened at qualifying, what's happened at racing. And well, dear viewer, I thought, why shouldn't we have the same thing in rowing as well? So as some athletes make way with their pizza, is excellent, isn't it? It really is good.
They've sold a few.
Yeah, I think they've sold more than a few, and I know because they've sold more than a few to me. But the pizzas really were a hit, as was the racing, as has been the weather, right? Now, focusing on this afternoon session, I thought we were going to see some really suppressed times. I thought we were going to see some good racing. I was confident we were going to see some good racing. We definitely did. But I thought we were going to see some suppressed times, largely because if you take a look at the flags and the water, there's not a breath of wind. And it's very hot. And I had a sneaking suspicion that in general, because of the heat and the absence of wind, we were going to see a suppression of times. Not a chance. Not a chance. Actually, some absolutely great times given the still conditions. And yeah, it's warm and warm water's faster, but this is the second warm day of the year. So the reality is that it's not going to be desperately warm. As we go past Windsor Boys School, who are celebrating an outstanding performance in the boys' quads today. We'll talk about them in a minute. Well, in fact, why don't we just slip all the way to the Championship boys' quads now? Because we are walking past the Windsor Boys tent, and well, that's what Ted Kravitz does, so why don't we do it as well? What have I put? Well, my first word is wow. Windsor Boys came into the final with a point to prove. They didn't have an amazing time at Wallingford. They didn't have an amazing time at Junior Sculling Regatta, but they went out today wanting to have an amazing time, and in the final, I think they probably went and did it. They led from the start. 130 for the first 500, 131 for the second, 133 for the third, and then a 130 for the final 500. They led start to finish, and in a dominant way that I don't think any of us expected. Talking on the tow path, I think most of us were thinking whether it was going to be Borlays. I had my money on Leander, but Windsor Boys really showed us wrong today, didn't you? And they were just chunking down the course in the final 500 at rate 40, looking desperately assured. So well done, Windsor Boys School. It was pretty much Borlays and Leander all the way down the course for second and third, with Tideway Scullers School, who are a decent enough quad. They've got some very pacey and strong individuals within it, but never seen that killer pace. However, in the final 500 metres, it was Tideway Scullers who lit the touch paper and overturned Borlays and Leander to take second. So the finishing order overall was Windsor Boys with 95.4%. 95.4% in that conditions, right? In that conditions, those conditions. Flat, hot, no tailwind. Not bad, Windsor Boys. Followed in by Tideway Scullers and Borlays, with Leander back in fourth. I was surprised to see Leander get turned over there. I thought there was a physicality to come from that crew that we just didn't see today for whatever reason. But these are junior athletes and they are always learning, and that's the great thing about this event, and the great thing about junior rowing in the UK is that it's a constantly evolving story. So whether you're a parent, whether you're a former junior athlete, whether you're a bit of a geek and a rowing coach like me, they are very good stories to watch unfold through the course of a year. And I think we're going to have a very good story unfolding in junior boys quads as we start the run-in, and I can't believe I'm saying it already, the run-in to Henley Royal Regatta. Special mention to Clare's Court, who I think are a very tidy looking crew. They were 7th today. I genuinely think that is a crew who have got more pace than we've seen so far. They were in the B final at the Junior Sculling Regatta. I'm excited to see what's going to come there. And I don't know whether they've got some younger athletes in that crew who may be going to be around for a couple more years. But I'm just gonna put it out there. Keep your eyes on Clare's Court and see what happens. We're talking about quads, so let's just talk very quickly about the girls' quads, because it was as expected. I think the form book that we've seen throughout really the head season and the time trials and everything else pretty much came to pass. Marlow, 95.5%. Well done, ladies. Well done, Pete Chambers. Well done, all the families and everyone involved in that club. It really is pretty stonking stuff that we're seeing from that quad. And I'm going to just say it. I think this is Marlow's year. I think there's something about them that just looks in a different class. Scullers and Wycliffe really going at it between themselves for second and third on the way down, and that was the finishing order: Marlow, Scullers and Wycliffe. Not to take away anything from the achievement of Scullers and Wycliffe, but really just a reflection on the fact that the Marlow crew is as strong as it is, so well done to them. What makes them really good? Well, my notes say just a generally good standard. Marlow have the edge. Lots of composure in the way the crew rows. Blade work is exemplary, and on the drive phase, a really nice connection on the front end. You can see that these athletes spend a lot of time working on how to make a crew boat work. They aren't just single scullers stuck together in a quad and then get told, go and make that move fast. They've spent a lot of time drilling in how to row as a unit, how to pick up the boat as a unit, and that has really shone through. So well done to them. And the other thing I've said is absolutely no slip. Yeah, absolutely no slip on the back end. Sometimes you see crews pull the handle towards them as they try to maintain the connection, but not this Marlow crew. They stay really strong and composed on the back end. Okay, absolute disaster. I've just pressed delete on absolutely everything. So I've lost all of my notes. So I'm now going to speak from memory for the rest of this notebook. I've probably got to find a better way to do this, because if I'm going to press delete like I did last time, it's going to be an absolute... I was going to say a naughty word, but then again, as a junior regatta, that's probably the wrong thing to go and say. Right, let's talk for a moment then about... I'm now going to forget a lot of you athletes, so I'm going to apologise in advance for those of you who I forget, because I am now going to have to speak completely from memory, having deleted all those notes, because I've been doing it off my iPhone, and that wasn't the best thing to do, clearly. So we've done the quads. Let's focus on the small boats for a moment. Let's talk about the girls' single sculls. Well, it was Hudson Hulls of Hartbury who pretty much ruled the roost, and we were expecting to rule the roost for the whole course. She ruled it pretty much to a K, and then came under a lot of pressure from Warnock and the Grange sculler, who I believe was called Andrews, and it was in fact Wallingford sculler who put her under pressure. It was Bell from Wallingford, sorry. And it was Wallingford who came through with an excellent row in that final 500. If you want to see some very good junior female single sculling, watch the final 500 from Bell. She kept the length, She kept the composure. She worked very hard. She kept the blade work clean. There was no drag from the blades. There was excellent propulsion. Her posture was superb. Psychologically, she remained composed. And that was borne out in how she scored that final 500. So well done, Belle from Wallingford. Well done also to Warnock from Glasgow Rowing Club. You rowed through to take the silver medal, and then it was Hudson Halls from Hartbury, who we suspected was going to be the form person who came through at the end. Did you get your power bank? I'm going to go and chase down the power bank. My children were tasked with dropping it off. Is that it on top of your thing?
No, is that your...
No, that's my charger. This is behind the scenes stuff,
the
guys.
The driver just left and he gave me that, and I
Did he?
assumed it was yours.
That is mine.
That's where you were going to put it.
Yeah, right.
This will be here until tomorrow, probably.
So
my mate runs the
this
event.
is Ollie, who's been running the Wi-Fi for the whole event, and he's been running an absolute legend. Ollie, I'm going to crack on with this. I'm going to go find my kids,
as long as it's left
who have got the power bank. This is the stuff you deal with, guys, as an amateur YouTube person. Here they are. Right, their kids are now going to return the power bank. It's the important stuff. Right, let's carry on. And let's go to the men's single sculls. Well, I made the prediction that Tom Pikulis was going to run away with it. And I was right. I had lots of people telling me that I was wrong. But I'm very glad that I was right, because I think Tom is a great athlete, and I know he works very hard. Not that the other athletes in the field haven't worked hard. I know that they work exceptionally hard, but it was just genuinely good to see Tom Pikulis take the win. It was absolutely excellent as well to see Ezra Ferguson cross the line in second place. He had an absolute stormer of a second K. He was in fourth place after 500. He was in third place with 500 to go, and he came through to take the win. That's conversely with Masters, who was up there. Masters from Grange, who was a lot of other people's favourite, and he was up there in second place for the duration of the race until that final 500, when Ezra Ferguson from George Watson's turned the screw and overturned the lead that Masters had on him. So it finished Pikulis, and I think it was 94.7%, so well done. Ezra Ferguson was upper 94s as well, with Masters with just about 1% off that. So Ezra is a true under 18. Pikulis is not GB eligible this year. So Ezra Ferguson should now be very buoyed going into final trials, showing good pace. He spent a lot of time rowing in crew boats as well, so he should go into the GB trial system full of confidence. It will be interesting to see what he does now with his club. Is he going to go and bolster some of the George Watson's crews into Henley Royal, or is he going to stick in the single? Who knows? Right, I'm going to try and gather my children before we talk on with the next event. Elizabeth and Claire, follow me. Okay, I've had my girls with me today, and they've absolutely loved it. Claire, who's 7, was fixed to octonauts on my BBC iPlayer app on my phone until the women's championship 8s came down the course, and she was absolutely blown away by the physicality of Shiplake, and she couldn't believe that these schoolgirls who were only about 10 years older than her were able to go and do that sort of stuff. So if you're in that Shiplake crew, thank you very much. She even met Coach Dan Saftari when I bumped into him on the towpath later on, and was amazed that she got to meet a proper rowing coach. Tried to tell her that Daddy was a proper rowing coach, but she doesn't have anything of it. Not in comparison to Dan Saftari, of course. Apologies to Dan Saftari and all other proper rowing coaches out there. So that's the boys singles. So well done to them, and obviously well done to Shiplake for winning women's championship 8s. Okay, let's talk about some J16 stuff that happened today as well. Right, first and foremost, the percentage times that the J16 crews were turning over from boys and girls was pretty spectacular in the quads events. I think the girls was 89.7%, and the boys' winning time was 91.3. This is J16 in those conditions, and that's really a bit unusual. So if you're in one of those crews, well done. That was absolutely fantastic to see. And I also want to give a big shout out to Infinity, as is someone else with the horns, absolutely having a great day. If you heard that in the background. Infinity program up in Stockton-on-Tees, set up a couple of years ago, and has really been growing and growing and growing. And it was good to see what calls themselves the Ginger Quad out on the course today, doing a great job to come in, and I think they finished third. They finished third. They'd been up there in first or second most of the way down the course. And then, again, I'm speaking from memory because I'm stupid and I just deleted all of the notes that I'd taken great care to write. I think it was Windsor Boys and Shiplake who just had that cutting edge of physicality and sprint in the final 500, which overturned the Infinity crew. Infinity crossing the line in third place for a well-won bronze medal. I loved seeing it. I had the privilege of working with them a little bit last year, and I'm just great to see it. Okay, so watch out for Infinity. They're coming to get you, and long may that continue. Right, we've got some top class bicycling skills going on. Well done, boys.
Thank you.
Right, what are we going to talk about now? We've done quads. We haven't done the doubles. Let's talk about the doubles. Again, speaking from memory, because I deleted my notes because I am stupid. I made the prediction that it was going to be Hartbury of Rada Kanic and Daniela. I'm really sorry, I always mispronounce your name. And her partner, who were going to be the Stormaway winners. And with 500 metres to go, they weren't having it all their way. It was Sir William Perkins who had gone out hard, gone out aggressive, all credit to Sir William Perkins, and who had led the way up until 1,500 metres to go. And then the screw was turned, by not only Hartbury, but also the other early promising crew who I had my eyes on, which were the Wycliffe double, and they started to chip into Perkins' lead. The Wycliffe double were racing quite low. I clocked them at 32 coming into the final 500 metres and looking very composed, it had to be said. So all good, well done. And then when they turned the screw, up it came, and they just applied the pressure, extra boat speed, and had a stonking final 500 metres. And the finishing order was Hartbury, followed by Wycliffe, followed by Perkins. I'm doing this from memory, which is not bad, right? It might be complete and utter rubbish. I might have completely forgotten the notes that I spent my time writing, or I might be broadly in the right area. Who knows? And if you know, if I'm making a complete buffoon of myself, do please put something in the comment to say so, because, you know, it's always nice to be made to feel like a fool. The sun's really bright. I'm giving up. The sunglasses are going on. I'm really sorry. I can't squint any longer into that sun. In the boys event, well, I said it was going to be a 2-horse race, and I was right. A prediction that I got right. I thought it was going to be Windsor Boys or Hartbury who were going to be the winners in this event, and it was one of them. It was the Hartbury double of Alex Judd and Max Fullman, and I was really glad to see them win. I think those guys have had a great couple of years rowing together. It's been nice to see them develop, nice to see them grow as scullers, as young men. It's one of the great things about this sport, particularly for juniors. It teaches all those things around discipline and around comradeship and all the rest of it. And it was great to see those guys who I've had the privilege of working with before in the sculling system to get the chance to row together, to hook it up and deliver a good result. They led from start to finish. They got to halfway in 95%. They finished overall at 94.7%, and really withheld a valiant push from Windsor boys, who had been sort of just keeping them honest, keeping them under pressure on that leash until the final 500. And with about 600 to go, Windsor really kicked. They put the pressure on Wycliffe, and Fullman and Judd had it within them to hold that charge off. And indeed, when Windsor just faded slightly, probably extend back into their lead. So well done, Alex. Well done, Max. Well done, Windsor boys. Thank you for a great race. And thanks for coming and seeing me afterwards, boys. It was really nice to see you on the towpath and hear your views as well. I know you're pleased as punch. As well you should be. Right, we've done boys doubles, we've done girls doubles, we've done junior 16 quads, we've done boys quads and girls quads. I think the only event that's left to talk about, because we've already had championship girls quads in the AB semi section, is to talk about the championship 8s final. And it's always one of those ones where there's a real electricity in the air. Right, Claire, did you enjoy watching the boys' 8s? Say yes.
Yeah.
She's 7, she says yes. Elizabeth, did you enjoy watching it? Yes, she enjoyed watching it as well. It's a family sport, isn't it great?
Because we're family and we're snuggled.
Good. I mean, I think I tell you what, I think they're going to be going for one of these scholarships at one of these big schools. They want to get home, get on Dad's erg, and what are you, 7 and 10? They're going to be on the fish game, guys. Play the fish game. Get fast. So a couple of things to talk about. First of all, I talked about how disappointed I was to see Eton miss out on the A final by 0.3 of a second. Well, St Edwards withdrew. I'm led to believe that there was illness or injury in the crew. I don't know what it was related to. I hope whoever you are, it's okay. I was also interested in a comment which one of the course commentators made about checking the composition and eligibility of every athlete in the field. Didn't make that comment about any other race of the day. So whether there's been some skullduggery going on, I don't know. I have asked around, but I hope not. Because rowing isn't that sort of sport. It's a sport for gentlemen and gentlewomen, gentle people. And I was sorry not to see Teddy's in the final. But equally, I was glad to see Eton in the final because they have been working hard to rebuild their rowing programme. And while they finished 8th in the final, it's just good to see an Eton boat on the Eton-Dorney course, sticking it up there with the best in the country, because I genuinely believe that British rowing is better when you have great athletes, great 8s coming out of Eton. It's just I've just got a soft spot for when Eton like to do well. There we are. Is that makes me biased? I don't know. But let's talk about the pointy end of the race. Radley, you had a point to prove, didn't you? Because you went out hard, you went out fast, you went out aggressive, and you kept that way. Well, guess what? You won. Radley won. And was that deserved? Yes. I thought that was a really great crew. I've been blown away by how much that programme has stepped on since Patrick Duggan took the reins. I really love the way that they're moving the boat. I really love the way they're letting the boat run. I really love the blade work from that programme. And I think there are 8 good young men. In fact, there's a squad of good young men coming through from Radley. And I think that's really telling, because it's not just about rowing hard. It's about growing as a person in this sort of sport as well, particularly with these schoolboy events. So well done, Radley. You really got the bit between your teeth. But it was a joy to see such a close run final across the board. St Paul's kept them honest the whole way down the course, and really turned the screw between with about 7:50 to go. And I think bit back a little bit into what Radley had at that point was around about a length's lead. But Radley had the turn of speed to hold that push and then move away again slightly to take the win, with St Paul's in second, Hampton in third. Well done, Hampton. And then Shiplake in fourth, with Westminster back in fifth. Westminster were lurking in the middle of the race, and I just had this view. I thought, are they going to turn from Westminster into Westmonster and really smash it in the last kilometre? I think there's another gear in that programme. So Matt, Harris, boys, get amongst it. Love to see the pink up there. It would be good to see Westminster chomping at the bit and turning that Westminster pink into some winning medals. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I just thought you rode really nicely. And I thought Shiplake were ominous in their lack of presence compared to recent years. There's some absolute hitters in that event. You've got the likes of Mr. Hunt Davies, who's a world champion in the Eights event, and others from Shiplake. So I am certain that programme, who have been there or thereabouts this year, will be there or thereabouts again coming into Henley Royal Regatta and for the rest of the year. I think that probably draws all of the races from this session to a close. I'm going to endeavour to timestamp this so you can flick to the portion that you'd like to. I'm going to close by saying what a blooming great regatta. I loved coming down to watch Nat Schools. I loved sharing it with my kids as well, who I'm not going to put on camera because they're 7 and 10. But yay, well done.
Daddy.
Yeah? They had great fun. So if you're an athlete, thank you very much indeed. If you're a parent, thank you very much indeed for letting your kids come and row and train so hard. If you're a coach, thanks very much indeed. And genuinely, this has just been an absolute privilege to come and watch. It's also been a bit hot. So I'm now going to go and find somewhere cool and relaxing to probably go and throw my children into as well. Should we go and swim in the river?
Yeah.
We're going to go and have a swim in the river.
Not the lake.
I will see you again at Met Regatta, where I'm commentating on the live stream, and I'll probably try and do this again. We're going to see a lot of the crews that we've seen here racing there as well. And then many of them are going to go off and do exams. So we will then pick them all up again at Henley Royal Regatta when they're finished doing their A-levels and are ready to go and try and win some silverware between the booms at Henley. What a joy it is to be here with a British rowing summer. Right, so from National Schools Regatta, Eton Dorney course, where it's rather warm. Goodbye.